Today is Tuesday, Parashat Tissa, and it's also the 14th of Adar Aleph, the 14th day of the first month of Adar, which is called also Purim Katan, because in Adar Bet, in the second month of Adar, on the 14th of Adar Bet, we're going to be celebrating Purim. So therefore, on the same date of the month in the first Adar, we make it a special day and call it Purim Katan. And tomorrow also the 15th of Adar Aleph, just like on the 15th of Adar Bet is going to be Shushan Purim. Tomorrow also on the 15th of Adar Aleph, we don't say Tachanun in the synagogue like we didn't say today. And it's a kind of a mini celebration. That's why it's called Purim Katan. There are even some that have a custom to add more seudot, to have a copious meal. Today, just like we do on Purim, have a copious meal. So what is this thing about having 2 months of Adar? It's the only month of the year that every so often we add an extra month, and that's why the dates of the holidays sometimes are a little bit later sort of in the year in terms of compared to the solar calendar. Sometimes they're a little bit earlier. Well, yes, in this year of 5776, there are 13 months on the Jewish calendar rather than 12 months, because the month of Adar is doubled into 2 months. And why is that? Well, to answer that question, let us understand first that the cycle of the moon, the lunar cycle, which is what we go for by in the Jewish calendar to set the dates for the holidays, the lunar calendar is 29 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes, and a few seconds, like 2 or 3 seconds. Very exact. 29 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes, and a couple of extra seconds. Since when the cycle of the moon finishes in the middle of the day, because it's not complete days of 29, complete days of 24 hours, or 30 complete days, 29 days at 12 hours and 44 minutes, we cannot start the month in the middle of the day. So some months are 29 days, and some months are 30 days. Now, the solar year is 365 days and a quarter. When you take 29 and a half days for the lunar calendar, and you multiply that times 12 months, there's a difference of about 11 days between 12 lunar months and a solar year. And therefore, 11 days every year, the calendar, if you go by the moon, moves backwards 11 days every year. Now, we need to have the holidays of Pesach in the springtime, and the holidays of Sukkot, let's say in the fall, the beginning of the fall. How can we make sure of that if the lunar calendar keeps moving us back in comparison to the solar calendar 11 days every year? So in order to resolve that, we add 7 times every 19 years. So sometimes it's every 2 years, or every 3 years, but 7 times every 19 years, we add an extra month to adjust. And therefore, when we add an extra month, we make sure that Nisan is always in the springtime. Because as we move backward 11 days, we're going to adjust, add an extra month, and move it back forward again, so that always the holiday of Pesach is in the springtime, and Nisan is always in the springtime. So that's why we add an extra month. So when you have an extra month, the month of Adar is doubled into Adar Aleph and Adar Bet. So that's why, even though it's the 14th of Adar, we don't celebrate really Purim full-fledged. That will be in Adar Bet, but today we still give it a little bit of Purim flavor. Now, what about if a person was born in Adar? When does he become Bar Mitzvah? Is it in Adar Aleph or Adar Bet? Well, he becomes Bar Mitzvah in Adar Bet. If he was born in Adar in a year where there was only one Adar, because the main Adar month is the one that is closest to Nisan. But what about if he was born, it was a year that had 2 months of Adar? And he was born in Adar Aleph. And the year that he becomes Bar Mitzvah is a year that has 2 months, Adar Aleph and Adar Bet. Then he becomes Bar Mitzvah and celebrates his Bar Mitzvah on Adar Aleph, just like in the year that he was born in Adar Aleph. But if he was only one Adar in the month that he was born, then he will celebrate his Bar Mitzvah in a year that has 2 months of Adar in Adar Bet. And there are other implications. Askarot, for instance, are done in Adar Bet, except, of course, if the year that a person passed away was on Adar Aleph, then in the year where there are 2 Adars, then the Askara will be in Adar Aleph. And in general, Adar Bet is the one that is recognized as the Adar, the Ikar, the main Adar. Adar Aleph is the extra. And this way, our holidays and the Jewish calendar, even though it's a lunar calendar, it still takes into account the moon, the sun, and it's still coordinated with the solar calendar, so that always our holidays will fall in the appropriate seasons that they're supposed to fall in. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.